Frida and Jess are two friends who sneak into a private reception hosted by disgraced millionaire Slater King. King was caught on an abuse of power a while back, but he publicly repented and has been missing from the public eye ever since. After meeting Frida, King invites her and Jess to spend a vacation with his friends on his private island. And though the place seems like heaven on earth for the first few days, Frida soon realizes that free cheese only comes in a mousetrap. Context is very important in everything. When Jordan Peele's Get Out came out in 2017, it was received exactly as it was intended, as a bold and elegant mix of program manifesto, edgy thriller, and grindhouse B-movie, for which the crazier the plot, the better. Around the same time, the daughter of the famous musician Lenny Kravitz, Zoe, then just an actress gaining popularity, conceived her own project Blink Twice, formed into a full-fledged movie only a few years later. But now times have changed and the ideological charge has become not just important, but almost a defining part of filmmaking, so any attempts to ask Kravitz a couple of questions about her creation risk running into accusations of chauvinism. But there are so many of these questions that it's impossible to remain silent. Blink Twice is a movie about strong and independent women, ruthless men, the fact that money and power corrupt, and at the same time about the fact that there is no such thing as former abuser. Even without projecting this story, in which there is not a single positive male character, on a broader level, the script definitely lacks subtlety. In terms of finesse and depth of expression, it's something on the level of activists pouring tomato paste on paintings in galleries, when the desire to release emotional tension and shout loudly about everything that annoys you, perhaps to a completely random person, comes to the fore and overshadows the very meaning of the action. To be fair, all of this manifests itself mostly in the last half hour, when the movie suddenly but categorically gets rougher and even dumber. We won't spoil the unraveling of what's happening on the island, but we'll say that at some point the plot holes become impossible to ignore, and the internal logic gradually wears off, being replaced by a fiery assertiveness. Kravitz as a screenwriter definitely has something to say about abusive behavior on the part of those in power, but she presents her thoughts as straightforward as possible, injecting every line into the viewer in direct text. Remembering trauma is important, because abusers must be punished. All public apologies are dust. All women are sisters. For those who watched and did nothing, there is a separate cauldron in hell. There are far fewer questions for Kravitz as a director, though. The main thing is to ignore the rather cringeworthy attempts of the director to build suspense, when the heroines, who have already realized that something is wrong with the island, are forced to feign ignorance in front of their tormentors, but they do it so obvious that in the real world their nervousness would immediately give them away. But the first half of the movie Kravitz gives us a very bright, expressive, effective exposition, reminiscent of the style of White Lotus, and at the very end the movie explodes with graphic violence, already expected for feminist cinema. You can remember Promising Young Woman and Ready or Not. Channing Tatum as Slater King subtly switches between the enveloping charm and steely ruthlessness of the Predator, showing that he has somehow imperceptibly reached a new level of acting. Naomi Ackie, who plays the lead role, is masterful, but her unconventional appearance will probably make some men wonder what King sees in her. We, however, will leave it without comment. In this review we have already said enough to be called sexist and get cancelled.